Hi, and welcome to our short discussion about all things mental toughness. And today we're going to be looking at confidence specifically and how of anyone offering a service for that matter can get in their own way, certainly when it comes down to pricing. And I'm joined by Lesley Thomas today, a business coach who supports entrepreneurs to charge basically what they're worth. So welcome, Lesley.
Hi there, David. Good to see you. Thank you very much for inviting me on the show.
You're welcome, and yeah, I'm looking forward to picking your brains and learning a few things from our little short discussion here.
Me as well. Yeah, carry on.
So yeah, how is it that people actually get in their own way when it comes to pricing their services?
Pricing for many business owners is one of the hardest aspects they have as far as getting their mindset in the right place. I think the problem is people very often come from a price thinking of themselves rather than thinking about the client, when the pricing conversation should always be about the transformation, the result we bring for our client, and to get the client to actually buy into why they are having that conversation with you specifically. When it comes to pricing services, we really need to focus on what is it we're doing for our client and what is the transformation they're going to get from working with us. And I think when we start to think about a pricing conversation that's about results, that's about transformation, it should be as simple as saying, pass the salt. No emotion in it, no drama in it, just simply saying, this is what I'm going to do for you. This is what's going to happen. This is how you're going to feel. This is what the experience is going to be like. And then tell them the price, rather than us putting that fear of, are they going to accept the price? Are they going to expect a discount? What are they going to think? You don't need to think about what you're thinking. You need to be thinking about talking to your client about the transformation you're going to bring for them. And then the conversation flows much more easily.
Yeah, I like that. You mentioned the word emotion, and I would imagine that's probably one of the biggest factors for certainly somebody who's in a small business or self-employed. The emotion just gets in the way of it all.
I think very often we want to push our feelings onto our client, so we get concerned about what they're thinking. And something we should never do is put ourself in our client's personal wallet. And that's what happens very often. We make assumptions about what a client is thinking, what a client can afford, and what the client will think about you in asking for a particular price, rather than actually understanding why the client's coming to you in the first place. There is a problem that they have that they believe you can help them with, basically. And by concentrating on what that problem is and how you can take it away from them, that is when the conversation comes about them and not about you. And very often business owners become very, very tied up in how they feel rather than the problem they're solving for their client. So you really need to turn that on its head and be thinking about it from the client's perspective. So the kind of language you should be using is, so by working with me, what you're saying to me is you are looking to move from here to there. And by making that move from here to there, you're going to start feeling this. You're going to start experiencing that. The benefits you're going to see are. But by not working with me, what you're saying is you won't feel this. You won't experience that. You'll end up being stuck where you are. So what you are essentially doing is taking that client on that journey of why they came to you in the first place and how they're going to move from where they are to where they want to get to. And then the downside is, if they don't work with you, what that result is going to be as well. But doing it in a very calm, non-emotive, factual way, so it is as easy as saying, pass the salt.
Pass the salt. I like that, because I would imagine if you get stuck in the cycle of being over emotional about it and thinking more about yourself than the client that you're going to help, then a lot of negative self-talk and chatter can stop you from charging the correct price.
Absolutely. And I think it's about not being attached to the outcome. That doesn't mean you don't want the sale, but equally if you don't attach yourself to the outcome, there's less emotion involved, because the more emotion you bring to a conversation, the more desperate you're going to appear, and the more you're going to put yourself in that position of repelling the client rather than attracting the client. And that is why you don't talk about the features and the benefits. You're going to work with me for X number of hours, and we're going to be doing this type of exercise, and we're going to be doing this kind of review. It's actually just looking at the end result, because at the end of the day, that's what the client wants. It's the end result. They don't necessarily need to know when you are selling your service to them, the nuts and bolts involved. That will come in a follow-up conversation. But in the process of selling your services to them, you are doing just that. You're selling your services and the transformation that you're bringing, because that's the excitement that you want your client to have. You're helping them to improve their swing. So when they're on the golf course and they are able to get that hole in one several times over, how are you feeling? What does it feel to be able to do that? What does it feel like to be able to tell your friends about that brilliant golf game that you had? You need to get into your client's head so they are experiencing what you want them to feel as a result of what they'll be able to do as a result of working with you.
So yeah, it's all, as you say, it's all about that process of how you're going to help them and bring the emotion out there. Do you find that people's family values and the culture, where they live in, that can impact again on how they charge or how they perceive what they should be charging?
Self-value and self-worth is definitely a big part of how you put your pricing structure together. And it's all related to your money mindset, essentially. And our money mindset gets formed when we were children as a result of how our parents were with money and how they spoke about money and what we picked up from our parents' experience with money. So it can relate to how you were brought up, where you were brought up, etc. Absolutely, because if you had a negative experience of money when you were a child, you are unfortunately going to bring that through with you as an adult as well. And that can absolutely impact that conversation that you have. But it's all about stripping it back to who your ideal client is, what is the problem that they are experiencing, how will you help them overcome that problem, what is the unique offering that you have that is going to help with that problem, and then pricing it from that perspective. So it's all about how you want your client to feel about the service that you're providing. If you undercharge, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win that client services, because we do attach success and value with a price. So if we undercharge, then very often what clients will do is actually think the service being provided is not comparable, is not as good as a service being provided by somebody that is charging more. So if you don't realize your value and the service that you're providing, how can you expect your client to? And that is why it's so important to put yourself in your client's shoes and remove yourself from that equation.
Yeah, and I suppose that can be a difficulty for a lot of people, isn't it? Where they do charge at a much lower rate in order to try and gain more business, got more clients. But it's potentially the wrong mindset to have.
It is the wrong mindset. And that is why when it comes to pricing your service, it really is about what you are offering and how you are offering it and who you are offering it to, and actually look at the end result and price back from there. So you price back from where you are taking your clients to, not from where you are at. And being able to do that, that is when you are really placing a value on the service you are providing, the results that you are bringing, the transformation that client's going to enjoy as a result of working with you. And if you're going to go for the lowest common denominator, then that is when your client is more likely to recognize they're not going to get as good a result as they might if they'd actually chosen to work with somebody whose prices reflected more of their ability and more of the transformation they're going to take that client on.
Yeah, so in effect, that inner dialogue there, and the fact that you're charging a lower price, it might actually be putting people off from purchasing your service at the end of the day.
Absolutely. You know, how many times have we gone out to purchase something, a new washing machine, new television, etc. The majority of people do not go for the lowest price product. They tend to go mid to top range because they're looking for the additional features. They're looking for the additional functionality. They want it to be future-proofed, etc., etc. And it's exactly the same particularly even more so when it comes to personal development, when it comes to improving your game, your mental fitness, etc. If you've made that decision to make that investment, then you want to get as much in the way of that transformation, that result, as you possibly can. And we do tend to associate lower prices with lower ability to get that result.
Without doubt. There's an interesting little comment being shared by Duncan O'Brien. He says he wants you to be his golf coach.
I have to say, I'm not particularly good at golf, so you can whether I actually came up with the wrong kind of way I described it there, I'm not sure. But I know hole-in-one is important, hence me coming up with that analogy.
Yeah, I like that. Unfortunately, I've been playing for about 30 odd years now, and I'm yet to have a hole-in-one. So hopefully, you're my lucky charm come the weekend. But yeah, in golfing terms or in sporting terms, if I find an athlete focuses too much on the outcome, and then the negative self-talk comes in, they get over emotional by it, I'll always try and help them to look at like the ingredients of their performance, and in effect, that's what you're saying there. Look at the ingredients of what you're delivering as a consultant, a coach, a psychologist, and work at it that way in a non-emotional angle.
And also, it comes down to that scarcity and abundant mindset. If you believe you have the ability to give your client that transformation, to give them help them get over the pain that they're experiencing, then you come there with a certain persona. And that means you're going to put that onto your client. They're going to recognize you have confidence in your ability. If you approach a conversation and you're hesitant about it and you're nervous about it, that client's going to be questioning, what are they nervous about? Are they nervous about their ability to get me that result? Are they so desperate for my business? Does that mean they haven't got many clients? So you need to come with a detached attitude that you can absolutely get those results, but you mustn't be wedded to the outcome of that conversation, because that will show in the quality of the conversation that you have. So it's not about not being bothered, but it's about not being attached to the outcome. It's almost factually explaining to the client how you will move them from where they are to where they want to be, what the upside of that will be in terms of working with you, but the flip side of what will happen if they don't work with you as well. Because by doing it that way, you're essentially getting the client to sell the transformation for you, because you get them into that position of thinking, what's it going to be like to get that hole-in-one? What's it going to be like to be able to get your personal best when you run the marathon? And once people start feeling as though they can wear that mantle of the hole-in-one, of getting a personal best, etc., that's when they really buy into what you're offering them. Because whenever you buy a personal service or a service, that's what you are buying. You're buying the transformation. So when somebody chooses a personal trainer, they don't want to know about how many press-ups they're doing, how many sit-ups they do, how much weight they'll be able to bench press, etc. What they want to know is, in my case, I will be in a size 10 in my bikini on the beach, feeling fantastic. And if somebody can sell me that vision, how does it feel, Lesley, thinking about being by the pool in your size 10 bikini? Now that gets me as a client really engaged, because I'm seeing myself in my bikini looking fantastic. But if somebody says, oh, well, I'm going to bench press this, and you're going to do this number of sit-ups, etc., and our sessions are going to last an hour, that's not getting me at all motivated. But telling me you will have me looking fantastic, that gets me motivated.
Yeah, I think what you're touching on there is it's visualization in some respects, which is a technique, a tool that I certainly use a lot in my work. So yeah, if people can see themselves highly motivated, seeing themselves achieve the results, then they've completely switched that just in that conversation. Which Anthony Taylor's put a note in the comments there about the stories that we tell ourselves in our own heads get in the way, and that in effect changes the story in their heads, or it certainly starts to change it.
And also, sorry to interrupt you, David, sorry. But also, when you are talking about a transformation with a client and they're getting excited, that's when the energy of the conversation changes. And when your client's energy changes and you see them sit up and sit back and take note, that is when you relax down and can actually benefit from the energy that they're giving off, and together your energy raises. And that's the important thing about having a pricing conversation, is it comes from the right place as far as the energy is concerned, but the energy keeps building as opposed to reducing. And when the energy is building, that is when you're able to again remove yourself from the emotion, but appreciate the transformation. And that is really where both of you can meet at a point where it's almost, okay, so this is how I'm going to feel, this is what I'm going to be able to do, and this is how I'm going to experience the next time I do so and so and so. So what do you charge? Right, okay. And it literally needs to be that, and I keep saying pass the salt, but that's how unemotional it needs to be. Pass the salt. Very matter-of-factly. You need to be very, very comfortable about pricing yourself based on the value and the transformation that you are bringing. And when you are confident in your pricing, that is when that confidence will show, and that whole conversation will be one about excitement based on the results, rather than nervousness about, and I'm now going to pass over the bit of paper that gives my price on it. Because when you do that kind of almost, shoving across the table, it's being done because you're embarrassed. No need to feel embarrassed. Openly talk about the price you charge, because it's based on the value that you're bringing.
I love that. That's a nice way to finish on when you talk about excitement and energy and things like that. I love that, Lesley. I really appreciate your time and for sharing the various different ideas and expertise there. It's been fantastic talking to you.
No, my pleasure. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.